He's going out on top, going out on his own terms, and hopefully will be the face of a franchise in 2024. Let's talk about J.J. McCarthy's decision to leave Ann Arbor following the national championship and enter the NFL draft. But if you are new here, well, welcome on into the channel, people. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. Simply because the clock has struck zero on 2023, it doesn't mean that we're going to stop making content. We got a bunch of new stuff planned for you. Got a backdrop. We're doing live shows starting this week. 2-3 times. Who knows how many times we're going to be doing it. We're also going to be talking about recapping 2023, a look ahead at 2024. There's a lot of news. College football is not falling asleep anytime soon, so don't fall asleep behind with the content. So make sure you hit subscribe down below. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on J.J. McCarthy snubbing a senior season in Ann Arbor, but going pro instead and probably making a bunch of money in the process. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, college football fans, and Michigan faithful everywhere about this channel, because we are on the race to 5,000 subscribers, then 25,000, then 50,000, and ultimately 100,000. And I think that, we're going to get there at some point. So why don't you jump on in while the water's fine? Give me a follow on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. J.J. McCarthy did it his way. Take a book out of the Frank Sinatra spectacle, because that's the way that J.J. McCarthy will be remembered in Ann Arbor. He made a promise to fans everywhere across the country, sitting down inside of a press room in Glendale, Arizona. We'll be back. Trust me, we will be back. This is not the end of the Michigan Wolverines. Mission accomplished, mission complete, mission oversaturated, because you also had an undefeated season in the process, and you were a key part of that success. And now you're off to the NFL for bigger and grander things. There is a way that we view the NFL world different than scouts. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. So when we go to the NFL draft and we go to the combine, we usually talk to scouts. I'm going in March. I will be definitely reaching out to the people that I always talk to simply about the quarterback position, because this year, you know who are the favorites, but you also know that there are a ton of names gunning for that QB3 spot. Jaden Daniels of LSU, Michael Penix Jr. from Washington. You got Bo Nix from Oregon. You certainly now have to include J.J. McCarthy in the conversation, and there will be a few others that at least are brought up in the small boxes. But go back to 2022. Everybody remember that draft when you had Malik Willis coming out, Desmond Ridder, and Kenny Pickett, and lo and behold, probably one of the best quarterbacks we've seen on day 3 since Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy as Mr. Irrelevant. Well, a lot of people started to go ahead and put together these mock drafts saying that these quarterbacks were going to go a lot higher than we expected. But when you reach out to those inside of small draft circles, it was very clear. Kenny Pickett is probably the only passer who right now actually is going to garner any day one interest. And even then, it's a giant risk. You didn't hear Desmond Ridder. You didn't hear Malik Willis. You didn't hear about Sam Howell. You didn't hear about Brock Purdy. None of those passers ended up being names that were brought to the forefront of conversations. Kenny Pickett was, and even then, there were hesitations to it. The way that we view the quarterback position is a little bit different than the way that scouts do. So scouts are going to keep a buck. And if a guy like J.J. McCarthy, that's still, in my opinion, is a work in progress, far from a complete product, is hearing that he is going top 10, you can't ask him to stick around. And the way that we view a guy like J.J. McCarthy drastically differs from a way that the NFL world views a guy like McCarthy. And the same thing goes for Penix, and the same thing goes for Daniels, and the same thing goes for May, and for Williams, and for Nix, and for a bunch of other quarterbacks that could come out in the foreseeable future. Every room and every personality has a different viewpoint on a quarterback. And so if McCarthy, knowing who is ahead of him in the process of elimination, is still going pro, number one, that means that he's probably going pretty high. He usually is reaching out to the right people, telling him, you are not going to be waiting inside of the draft room that long. We're not going to pan over to you and your girlfriend like Will Levis last year and see, when do you come off the board? You will maybe not go in the top 5, but make no mistake, you're a quarterback, a damn good one, an accurate one, with a lot of tools that coaches think that they can enhance at the next level. You're going to be gone before Thursday night. I promise you that. So we may say 2nd round pick, we may say 3rd round pick, but the NFL is probably saying, nope, day 1 selection, this is why we want to bring you in. And so now it's a hard conversation to have. You can return. You can easily return to Ann Arbor. You can expand your numbers, your production, your entire persona. And naturally, you also could end up ending your tenure with another victory over Ohio State, another college football playoff appearance on top of the heels of a Big Ten title, and maybe another national championship. But nothing is promised. Nothing is guaranteed in the world of college football. And when you look at the names that are coming in to the Big Ten next year, and you also look at the names that are retaining talent in the Big Ten next year, you can't promise that Michigan's going to run it back with or without J.J. McCarthy and with or without Jim Harbaugh. Oregon's a top 5 team. I'm telling you right now, the way that they are built, the way that their roster looks, and how they are coached, they are a top 5 team going into the preseason. I think you have to throw Ohio State in there. It's one thing to retain an Emeka Egbuka or a Travion Henderson or a JT Tuimoloau or a Jack Sawyer or any one of those talents. It's another thing to bring back all of them and bring in a quarterback that's a little bit more mobile than Will Howard and a running back that already has 1,000 yards attached to his name in Quinshawn Junkins. Washington, depending on the talent they retain, they're at least going to be a tough out. You know that Penn State's still going to be Penn State, 10-2, 9-3, 11-1, wash, rinse, repeat. That's going to be the MO. And then other teams on the rise. Wisconsin, they seem to be trending upward. You got a team like Nebraska. Dylan Raiola's coming in. Matt Rule, right coach, right place, right personnel, right attitude, right. They're right on the cusp. You can't count out Maryland. I really like the addition of MJ Morris. So all these teams that you felt comfortable playing this past year may end up feeling comfortable playing you. Nothing is promised in the world of college football. Nothing's promised in the NFL. Tomorrow, a player could easily go sign $1 million contract extension or a $50 million contract extension and tear their ACL in the first play. Nothing is promised in society. And so you have to do what's best for you. There's not much more you have to do if you are J.J. McCarthy for your legacy to be secure in Ann Arbor. You're going to be remembered as a quarterback that took you to the promised land. You are going to be remembered as a quarterback that has some of the most impressive numbers over the last few seasons. You are going to be a quarterback that has 2 losses next to his name. 2. That's it. Wait a minute. No, my apologies. I am so sorry, JJ. 1 loss next to your name. You're going to be a quarterback with one of the highest completion percentages in Michigan history, one of the quarterbacks that has one of the highest passing touchdown to interception ratios in Michigan history. You're going to have the accolades attached to your name when it comes to all Big Ten, all American honors, everything that you wanted, you have. And you won a national title. The first one since 1997. You know who wasn't able to do that? Countless other quarterbacks, countless other names that certainly are much more seasoned and nuanced in the world of college football and in the NFL. They couldn't get there, but you did. You got your team to that point, and you now reign supreme in the world of college football. You went on your own terms. I remember a few years ago when we had this conversation about Stetson Bennett coming back. Why would he end up wanting to come and play one more season when he could end it on the right note? Simply put, he felt comfortable with the roster. He felt comfortable with his overall draft stock, and he felt comfortable about the relationship he has. The only thing that you could say is a guy like Stetson is a little bit different than a guy like JJ. JJ's going to garner first-round status. Stetson Bennett never was. JJ McCarthy could have easily came back next year and been a Heisman finalist, or he could have struggled. Stetson Bennett, you knew, was not losing his starting job. And you knew he had a roster that was ready to compete once again for a national championship team. That's it. Plain and simple. There's no other way to put it. So now you look at McCarthy. He's going to go to the NFL. A lot of people are going to wonder if Jim Harbaugh will follow suit after. He could. But I don't worry about Michigan. Michigan is a team that has a culture, an identity, and a brand that I think now carries weight the same way that it used to back in the 1990s, back in the way it used to underneath Lloyd Carr and Bo Schembechler, and everyone else now has to follow suit. We know that we're waiting to hear the news on Harbaugh and if he is going to go to the pros, but we also know that this team was able to win every game this year, including the 6 without him. If that's not a culture that is able to be sustained when your coach leaves, then there is no such thing as culture, because of the process is led by the players, and the players leave out the message. Most of these players are coming back. A lot of them are going to be, I think, in my opinion at least, vouching for Sharon Moore to take over the shots, because if he already did, and he did a pretty damn good job at it, there's going to be a lot of people in Ann Arbor ready to see this team run it back in 2024. And here's the bottom line, people. They can. They can because of the persona inside that locker room, the pedigree, the poise, the stigma, the attitude that they carry themselves every single Saturday. It doesn't mean they will. And I want to make that abundantly clear. It does not mean that they will. It means that they can. And if they can, then that's all you have to worry about if you're a guy like J.J. McCarthy. My legacy's secure, but more importantly, the impact I made on this team isn't leaving simply because I am. The impact that I made on this roster is still going to be retained because they know how special it is to play at the University of Michigan. We got our bounce back. We got our charisma back. We have our poise back. We're not ready to let it go. And I think McCarthy understands that. So McCarthy now goes to the pros. Very good shot that he ends up being a day one selection. I will not be at all shocked if he's a top 15 pick. Maybe he ends up landing at a place where his former coach resides. Who's to say? But what I do know is Michigan still is going to be in good hands with or without McCarthy and Harbaugh. And more importantly, McCarthy, he's leaving on his own terms. Made a promise to the entire Maize and Blue faithful that they would be back. Mission accomplished. Now do what's best for you, kid. That's exactly the way that college football should work. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.